Fantastic Four. Let's talk about this movie. Hey guys, Monster here, and I recently have just saw Fantastic Four, the 2005 film. And, oh boy, let's talk about this movie. Because this film sucks. Yes, I know I'm starting this movie off in a negative tone, but I really did not like this movie. And I easily think it's the worst superhero movie I've ever seen so far. Because I have not seen the 2015 reboot. I plan to, since I've heard a lot of criticism behind that movie. But I need to see the 2005 film first. So I decided to watch this movie. So I decided to watch the movie. I recorded the movie and watched it, and oh boy, oh god. But anyways, before I get into the movie, to the movie's problems, let's start with the plot. The plot of the film surrounds five people named Victor, Reed, Sue, Johnny, and Ben, who all go up to space to get some biological samples. However, they end up getting affected by a bunch of cosmic radioactive waves, which apparently give them superpowers. Like, Reed can stretch, Johnny can turn to a flame, Ben is very strong, and Sue it can turn invisible. And I will say that that concept isn't technically the most original thing I've seen, but it's nice for a concept. Too bad the concept was poorly executed here, because I have no hesitation to say that Fantastic Four's plot is outright. The execution of the concept is so bad. Let's talk about the problems with this movie. First off, the characters. I mean, the acting is okay, but the characters don't really leave much impact on me. That's because, I mean, even the relationship they have, the relationship I consider to be very messy throughout the entire film. So even at the start, I felt nothing for these characters. I just mostly have cheesy dialogue, and they just act really just act kind of jerky to each other. Well, they're not completely acting like jerks, but I just didn't feel anything for these characters. And the relationship between them just gets worse as the film continues. Like, I don't know. Like, Reed and Sue are probably the only interesting characters, but again, they still don't leave any impact. Ben also didn't leave any impact, and I just kind of find him bland. Johnny is just kind of annoying in this movie, and I'll get to him later. But let's talk about the other problems, and that's, I want to say that the CGI, especially for Ben and Reed, look really off. I mean, Ben's skin is apparently cracked throughout the entire movie, and it looks pretty distracting. I mean, I get that. I don't know if Ben's is supposed to look. I don't know if Ben's supposed to look that way for powers like this. But for his powers, I don't know. It just seems off. And Reed is probably more distracting. Well, not as distracting as Ben's design, but the CGI for his stretchy body looks really off. Especially that I've never seen a human can actually do that. I've never seen a human do that. I get that's his powers, but it just looks pretty off. And and speaking of off-putting, let's get to my biggest criticism with this movie. This film has unnecessary conflict. Why? Well, remember that I said that the characters' relationship was messy from the beginning? It gets worse because the characters are trying to keep things normal level with their powers. Unfortunately, Johnny ends up blabbing about them like on TV, like during when he was like on the motorcycle bike at this motorcycle bike race. He he outright says that outright names everyone. Name he calls Sue's like a visible girl woman. He calls Ben the Fink. And I'm like, what are you doing? And of course, we need to have conflict thrown in there. It's because this film didn't have enough conflict. They have enough. It already had enough conflict with Ben and his wife. And that's another thing I have an issue with. You know that scene where the Fantastic Four uses their powers to save the people in the bridge? Aside from during this, Ben is praised for his heroic actions. However, as you know, early on in the movie, Ben's wife was scared of him mostly because how he looked. And then when Ben actually saves the day, and people were praising him, she's there, and then she all of a sudden leaves him. Yeah, Ben did something heroic. Did save people. Yeah, she leaves him. He leaves him. Really? Did you really have to throw that in? Again, it's just another example of the movie throwing in unnecessary conflict where it doesn't need it. Again, and also remember I said about the whole Johnny blast about his team? Yep, unnecessary conflict. But that also Johnny's also complains that he complains that they shouldn't keep this a secret, that he should live his own life, and he's still mad about it when Sue calls him out on his actions. Again, why are these characters? Again, these characters are just ugh. And remember that I said that this was. And let's talk about the villain. Now, remember, the villain apparently against him is Vector because his company got put out. Apparently, he becomes the villain. And his villainous attitude comes in at the last minutes of the movie. And speaking of, let's talk about the action. If you're when you're talking about a movie like called Fantastic Four and you see the poster, you honestly think you're gonna expect a lot of action, right? No. Spoiler alert, but there's no action in this movie. Hardly. There is some action, but there's hardly any. Aside from the bridge scene and that final battle, it's just the characters. It's just the characters reacting to their new powers, and again, I'm like, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people were and I'm pretty sure, I was like, are they gonna do some action, or I'm just gonna sit through like a 106-minute movie about forcing conflict and uninteresting characters. And as for the final battle, oh god, it is such a letdown. As again, there's no action. It feels like no action was in there. Right there, it just takes a few scenes of action, and boom, villains defeated. That's just great. That's really unexpected for a Marvel movie. And consider, but I honestly don't have anything much to say. Oh yeah, and speaking of the four scenes, there's also the scene where Victor tries to marry Sue, and that also just came out of nowhere. And also Ben And also, Reed also marries Sue in the end, which I guess was nice, but again, still doesn't save the movie. If there was one moment that kind of more positive, I mean, there was a funny scene where Sue turns invisible, but she has to like strip herself to make her actual invisible, and she ends up reverting to her original self, and then all of a sudden, so she's out, and apparently she's outright naked, and her reaction. Oh yeah, I actually kind of laughed. At that, but that's all much it. Fantastic Four really is bad, and if you're a fan of the Fantastic Four comics, I don't know if they release comics. I think so, but if you're a fan of the comics, then you're probably not gonna get much. Then you probably might get something out of this movie. But if you're a hardcore Fantastic Four fan, then this film probably will make you be a disappointment. Oh, even I haven't never read the comics, and I was disappointed how the film was portrayed. So overall, if you like this, if you like this movie, that's fine. Opinions are opinions, but this movie sucks. So that's why I'm gonna give Fantastic Four a 3 out of 10. Why a 3? Well, again, while it is the worst superhero movie of all time so far, I wouldn't say it's among the worst films I've ever seen. Because again, there's worse things out there, but that may change. But for right now, it's not worst movie territory. But this movie is still terrible, and that's all I can say. It's just bad. So anyway, guys, that's it for my review on Fantastic Four 2005. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. I'll be sure to post more movie reviews. And I'll see you guys next time. Adios.